We are going to talk about Derek Adams then, the man who masterminded that 4-3 victory. Now, Morecambe have never been in League One in their entire history, Mike, but Derek Adams could be the man who takes them there. I think the first thing to say before we go deeper on his personality type is that he is doing a magnificent job. And if he doesn't win Manager of the Season in League Two with Morecambe, if Morecambe get promoted, then something is seriously wrong.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job, and he shouldn't really come as a huge surprise in the sense that obviously he had bigger resources, more resources at Plymouth, but in 2 seasons it had at Plymouth, they weren't expected to challenge necessarily. The first season got to the playoff final. Second season were there all season long in the automatic places and secured promotion. So I think connoisseurs of League Two down the years, I kind of saw him come together with Morecambe and thought this could be interesting, I saw them tipped up in quite a few places, I think, on handicaps and things like that to certainly finish top 7 and those kinds of things. So I think there's a lot of respect out there for Derek Adams from EFL punters and EFL observers. But yeah, it's still been a phenomenal job. It's one thing in theory saying, yeah, I can see Morecambe having a really good season, top half, playoffs, those kinds of things. But then you see it in action when you're used to so many years of them being at the bottom of the table. And it is, yeah, it's a big paradigm shift to just see that name at the top of the table after so many years. So the closing in now, I think, I know this is certainly already the second best season they've ever had in terms of points total. And, they're looking... I think they're closing in on it being the best ever season, regardless of what happens in the playoffs or automatics. And they're just a point off the automatic places now. So phenomenal achievements. But he's a manager that clearly knows what he's doing. It's evident, in his recruitment and the players he inherited, and how in such a short space of time he's managed to knit together a unit that just functions so well and gets results and scores goals and, causes every team a problem who they come up against.
Feels like there's been a big shift as well, not just in the league position, but behind the scenes. Now, obviously, Derek Adams has had a little bit more money to play with. Investment in the playing squad has been possible. But under Jim Bentley, his predecessor, it felt as though it was always us against them. It was always, we're fighting to have our place in League Two. I think I saw someone say like a Dunkirk spirit as well, compared it when they went under Jim Bentley. And there are a lot of local lads as well in that squad. But now it feels like Morecambe are rarely the underdogs. It feels as though Morecambe have got this new style in which they turn up and they almost expect to beat the opposition. That's a completely different style to what Morecambe fans are used to.
Yeah, it's been a funny dynamic throughout the season, actually, because, now in these days of performance data, Morecambe have been right near the top of the XG ratio tables and stuff like that all season long. Yet there's been a funny kind of like, yeah, but it's Morecambe in the prices. You can actually see it in the prices. People are not sure whether, markets and bookmakers are not sure how much to commit on, like, just how good are they really? It's only Morecambe. And it's only now towards the end of the season that we're consistently seeing and being priced up favourites week in, week out. But yes, there's been a big attitude shift in terms of Adams has come in and completely changed attitudes. He's not short of confidence in his own ability, against any other manager at this level. I do feel like he's a manager that feels like he's very undervalued. Like the world out there just doesn't see how clever I am, how good I am. They just, he feels like a bit of an outcast, it feels. He doesn't always get on with opposition managers. He can be quite chippy with the things that he says, always gets a bite out of people. And, and so he is a little bit of an outcast in certain ways, but also there is a, you listen to other managers and there is a few managers out there who I think behind the scenes, once you get to know Derek Adams, there's not many people who don't like him once they actually get to spend time with him and have a conversation with him, come away thinking, yeah, he's all right, he is. But those who don't know him think, he's just this guy who has a bit of a nibble in the media and gets under my skin a bit. And yeah, so I think he's never been short of confidence in himself to do this. And I think he's just relayed that to his players. He's very much, if you're going to make it a comparison, possibly the best comparison you can make is Sam Allardyce. And the way that Sam Allardyce injects confidence into players that, listen, if you just do what I say, my intelligence is good. I know what I'm doing. So you just leave the process to me, leave the logistics to, the plan to me. If you follow through and I just simplify the game for you and show you what you need to do, then everything will take care of itself. Don't worry.
And he waited quite a while before taking this job. He was out of the game. I have no idea how long it was, but it wasn't an immediate appointment after the Plymouth sacking. So does Derek Adams need the right environment to thrive? Because feels like he probably had a few options, but he sort of picked and chose and waited for this opportunity to come along.
I wonder, actually, because I do wonder, you think about the outcast thing and you just, I can't imagine how he interviews. I think sometimes in an interview, you might think, not sure about this guy, etiquette. He doesn't follow the normal lines of etiquette. He doesn't, you can't imagine him saying things he will be radically honest. And if there's something wrong at your football club and possibly the job you're doing as a chief executive, he'll tell you in the interview. And that, that kind of type of personality, that type of attitude might rub people up the wrong way. But this was curious, the fact that he got offered the Morecambe job and that he took the Morecambe job, because on some level, it does feel like a good fit in the sense that Morecambe have had these years of being in the bottom half, just trying to stave off relegation year in, year out. There was a little bit more investment. I don't know how much, to what degree, but I do remember the end of the Jim Bentley days, the squad got a bit bigger. He had more options and there was a bit, but they never quite pushed the boat out for Bentley. Like, they never quite trusted in the new owners, and they wanted someone in who they knew could recruit well and who could take it to the next level. And I think Adams has seen Morecambe and just seen the history, the reputation, and just put his name next to it and thought, right, so people don't value what it is that I do necessarily. Well, they're not going to be able to ignore Morecambe getting promoted, are they? So that feels like a good fit to him, So I think in that sense, it has been a good fit, and it's not such a surprise that the potential, if Adams has gone in and seen, okay, there is some, resources that Morecambe haven't possibly had previously. They've got this history of bottom half of the table. Now they're giving me the money to, a little bit of wiggle room to go out and do something. Then I'm capable. So yeah, let's show how good I am by taking the name of Morecambe to the top end of the table.
When in League One with Plymouth, his team started very, very slowly, but gradually got better throughout the season and actually were comfortably clear of relegation. But slow starts were a real problem when he was at Plymouth. But Morecambe have not really had that problem this year. He's sort of been able to hit the ground running. How much do you trust him at League One level? Clearly it's a good thing that he's had a season and a bit there, but do you think that is enough?
I think he's a manager that bases his, it's all based on principles. And I think as long as the players, it will depend a lot on how good the players are for the step up to the level. And then again, how well he recruits. And when he recruits, how long does it take the new players to get his principles, understand his ideas? I think what he does very well on a tactical level is he sees how to play to the strengths of a particular, like Cole Stockton, for example. He's taken him on to another level as a number 9 at that level. I think people always saw potential in Stockton when he was under Jim Bentley and previously. But I think slowly but surely, I think he's come to make Stockton understand what it is he's good at, what he's not good at. So let's stick to what you're good at and let's, and just simplifying his game in a way that, just makes him a constant threat. And, and the way he kind of, I think they're playing a 4-2-3-1 for the most part, or, there's like 3 or 4 players who are all chipping in from goals from those positions. And it's very similar, at Plymouth, it was always Graham Carey. He played to the strengths of Graham Carey. Now, you look at Graham Carey's career since, I've got no idea, to be quite honest, where Graham Carey is now and what he's up to. But he was unplayable at Plymouth because he had a certain skill set. Adams played to that skill set. The whole team was built around that skill set, and the different players with the different skill sets complemented each other. But Carey was the focal point. I think it's much the same at Morecambe, but we're seeing all different players chipping in on the score sheet. And I think I think you're looking at a team there, and pretty much, you're probably talking. I would imagine it's balanced all over the pitch, but also, you're probably talking 7 or 8 players out of what would be the starting 11, probably having the best season of their careers and would openly admit it themselves. because they're all fit in a system, and so it all becomes greater than the sum of its parts, basically, because everybody's playing at the very best.
Yeah, and he talking of fast starts when he was at Plymouth, is like we said, with slow start to the season, but it wasn't necessarily because of lifeless performances. And one thing I've noticed from watching Morecambe this season is they start fast in games, they end it well, and they pretty much keep up that pace throughout the course of the game as well. So clearly, fitness levels and improving his side's fitness levels must have been one of the first things that he worked on.
Yeah, possibly. I think what also strikes me about Adams as well is, his post-match press conferences are great to listen to because, he pretty much says the same thing every week, but it's a different set of tactics. But he'll tell you, again, it's a little bit of the Allardyce thing. It's understanding the strengths of the opposition, but he loves nothing more than in an interview to turn around afterwards, completely dissect what happened in the game from a tactical perspective. We thought that we could expose them in this area. So we did this and did this and did this, and explains the tactical detail and said, and that's how it turned out to be. That's exactly how it panned out. And it seems to be the same script that he reads off every week. And it's like, right, well, here's this manager's weakness. Here's this team's tactical weakness. I know it. I understand it. That's just me being Derek Adams. And so this is how you do, and it's almost like he's revealing it to teams that then follow up against that team afterwards. You see this come out against promotion rivals even more, almost as if he's trying to give out clues to forthcoming managers that this is the way that you can probably get at this team. But yeah, so that's it for me. I just think he is an intelligent manager, but he knows he's an intelligent manager. He knows, and he's not afraid to flaunt his logic and the way he sees the game. It's all about tactical truths. He basically, he's capable of seeing if something's not going to work in advance, if just on a fundamental level, on a logical level, this isn't going to work. If you put this player in this situation, he's not going to be comfortable. The team as a whole is going to malfunction because this player is being asked to do something he don't want to do. He sees them sort of incongruencies, those things that aren't aren't going to work, that's going to break a system, and he loves to break the systems of other teams and then tell everyone about it afterwards.
Is that why he gets other managers' backs up then? Because he's willing to point out exactly where they're going wrong?
Yeah, well, I believe there's a certain etiquette among managers, I don't necessarily think that Derek Adams does go and have the post-match beer with opposition managers afterwards all the time. Perhaps he's not invited everywhere. But I do believe there's a certain etiquette that managers don't call out other managers in post-match interviews, or, if they're doing pre-match interviews, it's seen as, okay, it's a bit of mind games. There's a line that you don't cross, but yeah, we can take that. I don't think Adams plays by any rules. I've seen interviews with him when he was in Scotland saying, I don't think there's enough showmanship in football. I don't think there's enough, we should be playing up to the media. We should be acting like pantomime villains, to generate interest for the supporters. There's a code of conduct and etiquette that maybe most managers would say, oh, you don't say that about an opposition manager. You don't say that about an opposition team. Anything goes as far as Derek Adams is concerned. If there's a truth to be spoken, he'll say it. If he sees something that he thinks he's right on and someone else is wrong, he'll say it.
And finally, before we move on, where do you see him taking Morecambe over the next few years? He had a good go at Plymouth. Eventually, his time ran out, but he didn't do a bad job at the higher level. How do you see the rest of Derek Adams and Morecambe, this relationship panning out?
I think first and foremost, I think they're already going to achieve, it's already success. A top 7 finish this season is success for Morecambe, but they were a point off the automatics. I think the way they're scoring goals at the moment, I think a team that's scoring goals and enjoying themselves at the top end of the pitch is a very, very dangerous team on the final straight, the final 4 or 5 games. So there's big potential for them to get into those automatics now. And then even if not, I don't see why they can't go into the playoffs with confidence and, play with a certain freedom that other teams might not have. Even if they don't get promoted this season, I think he'll still be there to have a good go at it next season with Morecambe. I don't think he's necessarily a manager that will get poached too quickly. So I think he'll be there at Morecambe next season, and I think I would expect Morecambe to get promoted this next season if they didn't get promoted this season. In League One, he's capable. I'd say he's capable of keeping League One if the job's done on his own terms. I believe he's capable of keeping Morecambe in League One for 2-3 seasons. However, managerial cycles these days rarely go beyond 3, 4, 5 years. But if we talk about a whole cycle, establishing Morecambe as a League One club is well within Derek Adams' capabilities.
You probably heard me scurrying away there, Mike, and it's because I'm saving you and lots of listeners probably a few seconds of going on Wikipedia later. But Graham Carey is at Siska Sofia in Bulgaria at the moment. So there you go.